everyone, it's Friday and you're watching Within the Frame. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. Concluding his 5-day state visit to the Netherlands, President Yoon arrived back in Seoul on Friday. During his last overseas trip for this year, South Korea and the Netherlands agreed to expand the scope of their cooperation, deepening their strategic partnership. The highlight was codification of a semiconductor alliance, which came after the Netherlands-based ASML's decision to expand business ties with Korean chipmakers Samsung Electronics and SK hynix. How did experts see President Yoon's state visit to Amsterdam, and what's their evaluation of his overseas trips this year overall? For this, we invite Professor Choi Hyun-jin from Kyung University. Welcome, Professor Choi.
Glad to see you again.
And we also have Professor Chung Gu-yeon from Gangwon National University. Good to see you, Professor Chung.
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right. Now, first question to our Professor Choi. So I'd like to first ask what kind of partner the Netherlands has been to South Korea. It is said to have been the biggest investors among the EU member states and also a great trade partner. Could you elaborate more on this?
Yes, you are right. The Netherlands is really big in making semiconductor equipment. And the South Korea is awesome at actually making the chips. And this is a perfect match for them to work together, and which is really good for keeping the global supply chain of semiconductor chips very stable. And also, the Netherlands is a top investor in South Korea out of all the European Union countries. And it's South Korea's second biggest trading partner in Europe, just behind Germany. And to give you an idea, the Netherlands make up almost 29% of the European Union's total investment in South Korea. And that's way ahead of Germany and also France. And also on the flip side, South Korea invests in the Netherlands the most within the European Union. And in addition, during the Korean War, we need to remember that the Netherlands didn't just stand by. They sent over 5,000 troops to help South Korea to fight against the invasion from the north.
Right, it is a great partner indeed.
Yes.
And to elevate such bilateral ties, Professor Chung, President Yoon was invited to the Netherlands and became the first South Korean president to pay a state visit to the country. What significance does this have?
Well, actually, this is the first visit to Netherlands since the establishment of diplomatic relations. And as Professor Choi just mentions, they have been a good friend to South Korea. During the Korean War, they have sent more than 5,000 soldiers to South Korea and defend our country. So in that sense, South Korea need to appreciate for that. But on the other hand, when you think about this Netherlands, people usually think of it with windmills or tulips or famous soccer coach Gus Hiddink. But in reality, Netherlands is a very highly capable country with a world trade volume, especially as Professor Choi just mentions, they produce equipment for semiconductor manufacturing. And while South Korea produces semiconductor itself, so making our collaboration highly complementary. And the technological level in the Netherlands has reached the highest global level as well. So in that sense, our state visit, even though it was the first time, is significant in that we realize our shared interest and value and create a tighter economic security between two countries.
All right, thank you for your explanation, Professor Chung. Now, let's talk about some of the schedules. Professor Choi, President Yoon and the King visited the headquarters of the top chip-making equipment manufacturer, ASML, and he was even granted an access to visit the clean room for the first time as a foreign head of state. What chip equipment does ASML manufacture, and what significance did President Yoon's visit to ASML have?
Yes, President Yoon went to visit this big chip-making company in the Netherlands called ASML. And he went there with the Dutch king. And this was a big deal because it shows how South Korea and the Netherlands are working together in the technology world. And they both play a huge part in making the chips that go into all sorts of electronic devices we use every day. And ASML is famous for making super advanced machines that are used to make better and faster chips. And the South Korean companies depend a lot on these machines for making high-quality chips. And also, during the visit, the ASML said they are going to work with Samsung to build a new place in South Korea for developing the latest chip technology. And this is a major move to make South Korea even better at making chips. So in short, President Yoon's visit to ASML is a sign that South Korea and the Netherlands are getting stronger together in technology, and this could really shape the future of the global chip industry.
Right, bolstering ties in technology. All right. Now, Professor Chung, there, 3 MOUs were signed, and among them, 2 stood out. Samsung Electronics and ASML will invest around 1 trillion Korean won to establish a research facility in South Korea, while ASML and SK hynix will explore ways to reduce energy consumption for lithography machines. Could you tell us the details of this, and what can we expect from those deals?
So we made several kind of MOUs, and actually one of the most important thing is that we have formed Semiconductor alliance with the Netherlands. As I said, and also Professor Che just mentions, Netherlands is a country that produces equipment for semiconductor manufacturing, while South Korea produce semiconductor themselves. So as I said, our collaboration is highly complementary, and many semiconductor companies actually are in talks with ASML. As I mentioned, a company that produced this extreme ultraviolet lithography equipment. So that's why South Korea and Netherlands agreed to this advanced semiconductor cooperations between South Korea and ASML in the form of alliances. And as you just mentioned, the investment of 1 trillion won is actually significant because it's a kind of foundation to accelerate research and development in this field. So that's why President Yoon Suk-yeol, and along with CEOs of Samsung and SK hynix, personally visited Netherlands and look around these actual facilities and machines and enhance R&D effort, so that we can not only just cooperation at this moment, but to actually foster talents of the next generations and operate such cutting-edge semiconductor technology in the future. So in that sense, it is not just about the cooperation for these times, but for the future as well.
Right, we could really say it was a significant step forward. Now, Professor Che, joint statement between President Yoon Suk-yeol and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte was also adopted, and the two agreed to formally establish a so-called semiconductor alliance, as our Professor Chung already told us. Could you tell me more about this?
Okay, the President Yoon and Dutch Prime Minister decided to team up and make a special partnership focused on making computer chips. And here's what they agreed on. So first, the creating a chip alliance, as told by Professor Chung. South Korea and the Netherlands putting together this big team that includes their government, companies, and also universities. And the goal is to make sure the Korean companies then make chip and Dutch companies then make the tools for chips work really well together. And secondly, the better talking and planning between the two countries. So they are focusing on making sure the whole process of making and getting chips is strong and secure. And they are even setting up a special way to talk about everything chip related. And the third, being ready for emergencies. So they want to be prepared so that if there is any big problem in making chips, they can handle it quickly and efficiently. And lastly, although there are other agreements, but to summarize them, so lastly, joint research and development. So they are going to spend a lot of money on research and especially on new ways to make really small and advanced chips. So this partnership is a big step for both countries to work together in technology. and make sure they stay ahead in making important computer chips.
Right, so both of the countries will be able to expect mutual benefits from each other.
Yes.
Right. Now, Professor Chung, defense talks also took place with defense officials from both countries agreeing to bolster security and arms industry ties. What was agreed and what does it mean to maintain a channel with a key NATO nation?
Well, basically, this agreement between South Korea and Netherlands reflect the idea that security of the Europe and Northeast Asia, as well as the security of Indo-Pacific regions, are interconnected. The security crisis in one place can affect the other through disruption of supply chain or others. As you can see from Ukraine crisis, also as you can see from this North Korea and Russia cooperation. So global cooperation solidarity is important at this moment to overcome any security crisis and preserve stability. So that's the basic idea about this defense talks between South Korea and the Netherlands. But more specifically, from different angle to NATO, the strengthening the defense cooperation between South Korea and the Netherlands involves actually joint military exercise and activation of framework allowing South Korea to participate as a cooperating partner in that NATO's military information sharing system. So in that sense, South Korea could enhance cooperation with the Netherlands and NATO framework. And also when it comes to like defense sales, as you can see from this Ukraine crisis, this defense supply chain has been a problem, not only for the United States, but overall the security market. So in that sense, as South Korea, as well as Indo-Pacific countries are facing a number of crises, so defense supply chain is another issue that recently many countries are concerned about. So that's why we have discussed this issue with Netherlands as well. And more specific MOU on defense cooperation encompasses not only strengthening this defense cooperations, but also peacekeeping activities, cyber and maritime security, also including joint military exercise between two countries. So I think we have covered like comprehensive areas of cooperation in the defense domains. So that actually shows how much two countries are sharing strategic interest.
All right, boosting ties in comprehensive sectors. Thank you, Professor Chung. Now, Professor Che, in The Hague, President Yoon visited Rittersel, where the Second Hague Peace Conference was held in 1907, and he also visited Eun Peace Museum. Now, for those who might not be familiar with this Korean history, what significance does this Rittersel have, and who is this Eun?
Eun was an important figure from Korean history. He was a lawyer and also a diplomat who really cared about Korea's independence. And as you said, in 1907, he and two other Korean diplomats went to the World Peace Conference in The Hague, and hoping to get the world to see Korea as an independent country and to protect Korea from being taken over by Japan. But unfortunately, they were not allowed into the conference because Japan already deprived Korea of its diplomatic sovereignty. So sadly, Eun died in his hotel room soon after this. And his death points out how countries that were taken over or controlled by other countries often didn't get to have their say in international politics. And the museum in The Hague where Eun died was set up to remember him and his fight for justice and freedom. So when President Yoon visited this museum, it showed he respects Korea's past struggle to be a free and independent country. So his visit was like paying respect to an important part of Korean history and showing the world that South Korea values peace and freedom based on its own history.
Right. I mean, it is really meaningful that this country that was once rejected is now on a state visit.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Now, Professor Chung, he also met with Dutch veterans of the Korean War in Amsterdam. The Netherlands, like our Professor Che already mentioned, sent more than 5,000 troops at that time, right?
Exactly. So Netherlands recently attended South Korea UN Command Member State Defense Ministerial meetings, which was held in South Korea in November. And actually, this meeting is very significant as discussed this continuing role of UN Command in fulfilling its mandate under the UN Security Council resolutions and the 1953 Armistice Treaty Agreement. And the UN Command member states during this recent meeting, they reaffirmed that the spirit of 1952 Armistice Agreement continued to be very important for the preservation of stability on the Korean Peninsula as it was in the past. This UNC, which has been neglected a very long time, but it's a kind of very important security architectures that provide deterrence in addition to ROC-US alliances, which is a bilateral format that provide deterrence against North Korea. So in that sense, the role of Netherlands is non-insignificant. It's very important in sustaining this multilateral architecture in the deterrence level. But at the same time, Netherlands recently shows their willingness to contribute more in sustaining this UNC and future shapes of other deterrence measures. So in that sense, not only for the kind of economic security, but at the same time, treasury security level, both countries have much in common, I think.
All right, I see your point, Professor Chung. Now, Professor Che, shifting gears a bit here, Netherlands is actually the last overseas trip for this year. And as we all know, President Yoon visited many other European countries, the Netherlands, of course, and the United Kingdom, and France as well. Could there be any reason why these European countries are asking South Korean president to come more often than before?
Yes, there are a few big reasons. The first reason is about security partnership. So President Yoon visited, for example, the United Kingdom to make their relationship stronger, and especially for business and keeping each other safe. So this is important because of the growing worries about North Korea and its nuclear weapons. The UK and South Korea are planning to work more closely on things like digital technology and also defense. And the second reason is about new trade agreement between Korea and other European countries. Also, there's a talk about the new trade deal between South Korea and the UK. And this is a big deal because it will replace an older agreement between the two countries and also expected to help both countries' economy, especially in high technology areas like making computer chips and using AI. And thirdly, it's about technology. The Korea and these major European countries are big players in semiconductor area, and they want to team up, especially when there is so much competition and change happening globally in technology. And therefore, these visits show that South Korea is becoming more important globally, and especially when it comes to technology, trade, and also dealing with regional security issues. So European countries see Korea as a valuable partner in these areas.
All right, many reasons to invite South Korea.
Yeah.
Well, Professor Chung, if we look back on the overseas trips President Yoon made since he took office, he visited the United States 5 times, Japan, England, and France twice for each country, but he did not visit China at all. Would it be safe for us to say that this shows the strategic clarity the Yoon administration has been pursuing?
Well, you can think like that way to some sense, because strategic clarity is more about taking a more clear positions between great power competitions. So as we have taken a hedging position between US and China during the previous administrations, now we are more aligned with more like-minded countries that you just mentioned, United States, Japan, and Britain and Netherlands, which actually share our value and interest, especially more than anything, rule-based orders. So that's why South Korea have visited more those countries than others, especially China. But that does not mean that we are antagonizing China, but we need to take a more kind of aligned position so that we can have a better kind of terms with China in the future.
Right, I see, Professor Chung. Now, since we are running out of time, I believe this will be our last question, Professor Che. Though South Korea failed to secure the expo bid, officials say there was a certain achievement as it served as an opportunity for South Korea to expand its diplomatic scope, beyond major power-centric diplomacy towards small and medium-sized countries as well. How should we make use of such expanded diplomatic scope and data, and what should government consider when planning another overseas trip?
Yes, South Korea's bid for Busan Expo, even though it didn't succeed, turned out to be really useful for making new friends in the world of international politics. So they got to connect with a bunch of smaller and medium-sized countries, and which is a big change from just focusing on the major powers. And I think we can make the most of this new relationship when planning future trips abroad. For example, we can build partnership in different areas. South Korea should look at working with these countries in various fields, not just the usual stuff. This could mean teaming up in areas like culture, technology, education, and also the green initiatives. And also, we can join forces to tackle global issues like climate change and health crisis. And I think this kind of expanded partnership can show South Korea is a serious player on the world stage.
All right, I see your point, Professor Che. Well, unfortunately, this is all the time we have for today's edition. Thank you, Professor Che.
Thank you.
And thank you, Professor Chung, for your time and insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's all for Within the Frame tonight. We'll be next Monday with more in-depth stories. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the weekend, and goodbye.